Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
Lyrically, I'm untouchable, uncrushable. Running in a 600, running in a 600. Untouchable, uncrushable. Running in a 600, running in a 600.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Punch the Face Radio. I'm your host, Brandon Stubbs. Appreciate you joining me here this evening. Needless to say, I will openly state this here at the beginning of the show. I'm a little bit thrown off by the news of a certain fight getting made, which I will not speak on here on this week's show. I will state this ahead of time. Next week will be the lone time I will speak of this said fight on Punch the Face Radio. Next week I'll be joined back by my comrade, my homie, my brother in boxing, Adam Abramowitz. And at that juncture, I will speak on said fight. So tonight we're actually going to talk about real fighters and real fights involving real top pound-for-pound fighters. So later this evening we have joining us Marlen Esparza, 2012 bronze medalist. She's now 2-0, fights for Gold Boy Boxing. She's going to join us at the top of the next hour to talk about what's going on in her career and the adjustment of becoming a pro. 2017 now, she's fought twice. Rather large stages she's fought on as well. So I want to get her take on how everything is going and what she plans on going forward here in 2017 as women's boxing continues to grow and progress. Also, I'll talk a little bit about Brandon Rios' return bout here that happened here Sunday night. Late at night for us here in the Midwest and on the East Coast. You people on the West Coast, it was no problem for you, but Sunday night, the fight didn't start until 9:30 my time, so I'll talk about that, the scheduling of this as well as the fight itself. And also, if we have time, dip into a little bit about the UFC and some actual real MMA fighters fighting real MMA fights both last weekend and this weekend. But you can call in to be a part of the show. We'll be taking calls for at least the first portion of the show before our guest comes on. You call in area code 929-477-3165. Feel free to tweet me at BrandonP2TF on Twitter. So, again, that's BrandonP2TF, Brandon, punch in the face there. So, pretty easy to remember. You can tweet me there, and I will read your tweets here on air. But like I said, man, if I seem a little bit puzzled, a little bit nervous, a little bit off here at the beginning of the show, that is why. Just the whole announcement of all this stuff is just throwing me for a loop. So it is what it is. But I digress, and let's talk about an actual real fight. We do have a real fight that's going down this week this Saturday night live on HBO pay-per-view. We have Andre Ward. Wow, I can't talk. Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev, Part 2, the anticipated rematch between two guys who genuinely don't like each other. This is going to go down, literally you can pretty much say it is for the supreme spot as being the number one light heavyweight in the world. I understand Adonis Stevenson is the lineal champion. I get it. But for all intents and purposes, everyone who you talk to and everyone who believes, who follows the sport and who covers the sport believes that this is between the number one and number two 175-pound fighters in the world. The winner of this fight is unequivocally the number one light heavyweight in the world. Let's just call it for what it is. The winner of this fight is numero uno. So that happens here Saturday night on HBO pay-per-view. Now, a couple of different layers of this. Now, as you listen to last week's show, and if you haven't, make sure that you either here on Blog Talk, search for Punch the Face Radio. Also, you can go on iTunes and just search Punch the Face Radio as well. If you missed my interview last week with Kathy Duba, CEO of Main Events, we discussed that. The fight itself doesn't seem to be gaining a ton of momentum, and you have a lot of different factors in that. One of those could be that really Andre Ward seems to be sandbagging it a bit in regards to promotion. To his credit, he is picking it up a lot more here this week because, well, it's fight week. So he kind of has no choice. He's doing his media obligations as he should, and as he really should have been doing more from the get-go. So, sadly, this fight probably won't do huge pay-per-view numbers. It's probably not going to do a huge gate or anything like that. So from the business aspect of it, it's probably going to suck a little bit for those who are involved. They're probably going to take a little bit of a bath. But for us boxing fans, this is something we should get behind and something we should support, because you literally have two real fighters fighting a real fight for the number one spot not only in their division, but you can make the argument of the winner of this fight being the number one pound-for-pound fighter there is in the world. So I don't really understand why more people aren't behind this, but it is what it is. Some people have their own reasoning behind it. They have their own what's the word I'm looking for here? Own motives behind everything. So, it is what it is. But I'm definitely supporting the fight. I think it's going to be a hell of a battle between two of the best fighters there is in the world. Now, one key thing here with Saturday night's fight is going to be emotions. Emotions are something that can definitely get in the way of either fighter who's involved with this fight, simply because if you don't control your emotions in this fight, it can get the best of you. And what I mean by that is, if Sergey Kovalev comes in there too emotional and too wound up, he could, blow his wad early on in the fight trying to go for the knockout. If he doesn't control his emotions, or he could commit a foul, he could do something that could put him in jeopardy of, getting hit himself, getting a point deducted, blowing too much energy early on. A lot of things with that when I say, emotions could get the best of those involved. Now, for Andre Ward, I will always say this, he's a very calm and collected guy in the ring. We get to really see him do anything too far left in regards to being in ring, tactics in ring. He has very veteran tendencies, but nothing that's ever been so wild to where you're going to get points deducted away, or you see him getting overly flustered. Now, we've seen him get frustrated, but not overly flustered in a fight. So maybe the emotions thing is going to be more of what I'm looking at with Sergey Kovalev. I look for Sergey Kovalev to be really wound up for this fight. And, we've heard the rumors of, his trainer, John David Jackson, having some sort of conversation or some sort of correspondence with Andre Ward's camp. The extent of that is still a bit murky. We've heard various different reports from both sides, giving their explanation of what happened and what didn't happen. So, there's a lot of stuff involved there, but, there's something there with that. You have the fact of it being a rematch that, quite honestly, in the fight, I thought Sergey Kovalev won, and won relatively easy the first time around. I have the very unpopular opinion there, but I thought he won the fight relatively easy, to where there shouldn't be even a rematch to begin with. But, here we are. Now, with that being stated, these two guys hate each other so much that I just hope we get a clean fight. I hope we don't see a lot of clinching, a lot of hugging, a lot of unnecessary antics like that. But that's my fear. That's my fear, that we're going to see two guys who are going to be overly emotional, overly heated, and it's going to turn into a clinch fest. It's going to get dirty. I just hope we don't get that for the rematch, because the first fight was really good, I thought. I thought it was actually a lot better than what I thought it was going to be completely honest, when the fight was made. I thought it was either going to be a complete boxing exhibition by Andre Ward, or Sergey Kovalev was going to knock him out and was going to make it look easy. I didn't think we were going to get a middle-of-the-road fight like we did. And with that happening that first time around, it really gave boxing fans something to look forward to here in this rematch. Unfortunately, it's just not being pushed enough for the masses to really pay attention to. It's not going to be enough casuals that are talking about this, but this should be. Again, I can't stress that enough. This is a fight that a lot of people should be watching. So, like I said, man, you got two guys who hate each other so much. You have emotions involved. My official fight pick is going to be Sergey Kovalev. And I think Sergey Kovalev is actually going to win via stoppage, truth be told. I think that he has learned from his mistakes in the first fight, and I believe if he sees he has Andre Ward in trouble, and especially if it's early on in the fight, in the opening rounds, I look for him to jump on him and try to get him out of there because I think Sergey knows. I think Andre Ward may even know to an extent. The longer the fight goes, the better opportunity Andre Ward has to win on the cards. And I think that's going to be in the back of both these gentlemen's mind. I think for Andre Ward, it's going to be it'll be smart for him to go out and just try to box, stay loose. Don't get in close. Don't get in a firefight. He said he's planning on going there and fighting Sergey Kovalev. That would be the most moronic thing he can do when he's one of the best pure boxers there is in the sport today. Just go in there and box. If he goes in there and box and stays loose, Andre Ward should be able to pull that off in points. But I think the emotions and the what's at stake for both men, I look for Sergey Kovalev to just really try to turn it up and go for the stoppage win here come Saturday night. So my official pick is Sergey the Crusher Kovalev to win via stoppage here in this fight. Now, as far as when the stoppage will happen, I honestly look for that maybe sometime. Like I said, he's going to have to do it early, I think, to really have a chance in this fight. I'm going to say it's going to be any time before the 6th round for that to happen. I think if he catches him clean, he's going to be able to knock him down. Now, one thing that kind of worries me a bit is Andre Ward now looks to be a lot more – his body is now caught up to him moving up to 175. Now, the first time around, he didn't look as sculpted as we're used to seeing him when he's fighting at 168 in their first fight. He just kind of seemed to have more water weight to him, if you will, to moving up in the weight and not being as muscular and it's not cut as we're used to seeing Andre Ward look at a fight, a big fight of this magnitude. So this time around, his training does look to be a lot different in regards to his body shape and the way he looks, which makes me believe a little bit more he may be able to withstand some of the punching power of Sergey Kovalev. He may be able to take it even better this time around. And, Andre Ward he's one of the few tacticians there is in boxing. There's only a handful, and he's one of those guys. If he can figure out what Sergey Kovalev is doing, and if Sergey Kovalev has not changed up his game plan from the first fight, this could be easy work and easy money for Andre Ward. But I'm sticking behind my pick of Sergey Kovalev winning via stoppage here in this fight. Like I said, I'm going to call that any time before the 6th round for that to happen. But let me know what you think. Like I said, call in here to the show at area code 929-477-3165 and let your opinion be heard in regards to who you think is going to win here on Saturday night. Now, like I said, this is going to be on HBO pay-per-view. There's also there's a couple other interesting fights involved here on the undercard. You have Luis Ariza. I always mispronounce his last name. He's a Rock Nation fighter, and it's good to see him actually getting an opportunity to fight. He's going to be the opening fight of the undercard portion of the pay-per-view. So he's going to be fighting 10 rounds, middleweight action. He's one of these fighters to where if he's promoted and given some exposure properly, he really has a legitimate shot to be something special in the middleweight division. I don't think a lot of people, unfortunately, haven't had an opportunity to see him fight as much due to the fact of Rock Nation just really does a poor job of promoting their boxers. Let's just call it what it is. So a lot of people haven't seen him. He's been in action. He's fought a lot of smaller fights, fought back in his hometown of Milwaukee, having fights there. So this is a golden opportunity for him. I'm really happy for him that he's going to be a part of a pay-per-view and getting an opportunity to get some exposure on a national level. So I think this is a really good look and a good job by Rock Nation to get him here on the card. Another fight that a lot of people are saying is going to be somewhat of a firefight and thinking that Guillermo Rigondeaux may be in for a legitimate fight. He's going to be defending his WBA junior featherweight title against Moses Flores. Now, this is the co-main event of the night. Now, for those who don't know, again, when I say tacticians and pure boxers, that's what Guillermo Rigondeaux is at the end of the day. I mean, if he's nothing else He is maybe the purest boxer right now in boxing today. I mean, it's tough to say someone else is better than him at being just a flat-out pure boxer. That's him. That's what he does. Now, is it the most aesthetically pleasing style? By no stretch of the imagination. So it's kind of interesting that his fight is the co-main event of the night. A lot of times he puts us to sleep with some of his fights and the style of fighting, but, he also can go sometimes out and just go to war. I mean, he broke the guy's jaw when he fought last summer. It was one of those things kind of flew under the radar, but, he does have punching power when he needs to. He's won a couple of fights via knockout. He knocked down Nonito Donaire when Nonito Donaire was one of the top fighters there is in the world. So, I mean, he's got punching power and has the skill to do it. He just doesn't do it a lot of times. He doesn't put himself at any extra risk when he's fighting these fights. So I can't knock him for that. He's going out, he's doing his job. As a professional boxer, your job is to hit and not be hit, and that's something Guillermo Regendow does rather well. Not rather well. He does it better than anyone else really there is in boxing today. So, he's in the co-main event of the night against Moisés Flores. For Flores is one of these guys, kind of under the radar guy. He's a Mexican fighter, 25-0, 17 KOs. He's fought some fights here in America. I don't want to say against lower competition. Does have a win over Oscar Escandona, who just recently fought here. Escandona fought Gary Russell Jr. here a couple of weeks ago. So he's fought some legit competition. Obviously, this is going to be the biggest stage of his career, in fighting on a fight like this can really make a stand for him. He's the interim WBA bantamweight champion, super bantamweight champion. So this is his opportunity to become a full champion and face Guillermo Regendow. So it's one of those things to where, for a fighter like Flores to have a chance, he has to be mentally ready to go in and fight. He can't be mentally defeated going into the fight. He can't be intimidated. And a lot of fighters, I think, who fight Guillermo Regendow are sometimes already intimidated before they go in the ring, just because of that persona, that aura that's around Regendow, of him being the fighter that he is and being the boxer. A lot of people are somewhat mentally defeated before the fight even starts. So, for Flores to have a chance, he's got to get that stigma out of his head. He's got to just look at it as Regendow being just another fighter that's across the ring from him. I don't know. That one's kind of a tough one to call. At the end of the day, I'm going to go Regendow, because at this juncture, he's shown me nothing different, nothing that he can't be, that somebody's going to be able to go in and beat him. So should be fun. That's going to be part of the main card. So you'll have 4 fights in the pay-per-view portion. You'll be able to watch free fights on HBO's YouTube channel. So obviously you're listening to this live. Come Saturday, we'll have the tweet links out to where you can actually watch the free preview card through HBO's YouTube channel. That's going to be featuring Vaughn Alexander, the older brother of Devin Alexander, a middleweight that, as you heard Kathy do on last week's show, she's real high on. I think he has very much a bright future. Another guy that I'm really interested in seeing, and I hope his fight is also aired on the preview portion of the card, is Enrique Gokehi. Now, he's actually a professional kickboxer. Who's fought a couple of boxing matches, still getting more emulated into the world of boxing. He's got striking power. He could be something really special in the welterweight division. So I'm glad to see how main events is kind of moving him on slowly, but this is a great stage for people to get more familiar with him. Hopefully this is a showcase fight for him. He can score a sensational knockout to get more buzz building about him, because I think he could really be something. And I mean, if he's not a champion, he's definitely going to be the contender range here really soon. That punching power he has as far as kickboxing goes is amazing, and it looks like it's going to translate over well here into the sport of boxing. So, again, man, HBO pay-per-view here Saturday night, Kovalev Ward 2. I encourage all my listeners to listen to, who are listening, to buy the pay-per-view or go somewhere and watch it. Go support boxing and support real boxing, and I can't stress that enough. This is a plea that I'm going to be making to a lot more of my listeners and a lot of my followers on Twitter as these weeks and months go on leading up to something else. that happens here in the sport of boxing, that I want people to support real fights and real fighters. These guys are two of the best in the world. Support them. Go out and buy that pay-per-view. If you live close to Las Vegas, there are some tickets still available. Definitely go check that out live. Mandalay Bay is a beautiful facility to watch sports at. I highly recommend going out and doing that. So please support Kovalev War 2 here come Saturday night. Now, a fighter who I kind of felt weird about this one last week, and I said it on air that I didn't want to see Brandon Rios come back and be a shell of himself or be a guy who's a punching bag or a guy who's just out there to get a check. You don't want to see that with a fighter because boxing is one of those sports you don't play. You play boxing, you will get hurt. We've unfortunately seen that. It's kind of one of these things that's now starting to happen far too often. We're getting fighters with brain injuries in fights. We're knowing more and more about, CTE, the traumatic brain injuries that not only happen with people in the NFL, but it is happening with boxers as well. So, this is a hurt business. And I was really indifferent and really didn't want to see Brandon Rios come back. But seeing him Sunday night just made me kind of realize this is Brandon Rios. Like, this is what he does. He is a blood and guts fighter. He's going to leave it all there in the ring, and that's what he does. He means no harm by it. He is doing what he does best, and he is going out, he's banging people out. Let's just call it what it is. Brandon Rios fought here Sunday on Fox Sports 1. He fought, let me get this guy's name correct, Herrera, I want to say was his last name. He fought and fought well there in the fight. Now, the couple of problems I did have in the fight were the simple fact of that, his head movement wasn't there. And, that's something he's never really had to begin with. Never the greatest in regards to head movement. But, you would want to see more of that up from him because he was getting hit a lot and getting hit clean at times. And, but that's Brandon Rios. We suspect nothing less from Brandon Rios when he's there in a ring and he has a fight. That's just what he does. He shows yet again that he is, a tough guy. He's just that tough. Aaron Herrera was the guy's name. He's just a tough guy. And, he wants to really make a push and be a champion at welterweight, at 147. While I don't want to say no, I really don't. I just don't know, at this style of fighting that Brandon Rios is still doing, how durable he's going to be if given an opportunity to fight for a title. Like, how durable can this guy be at 147, taking shots like he took against a lesser fighter? No disrespect meant there to Aaron Herrera. But, he's not a top-flight, top-level 147-pound fighter. We know that. We knew that coming into the fight. But you just don't know when Rios steps up in competition if he's going to be able to take those kind of clean shots and not get knocked down. 3 of his losses are not against shabby people. Tim Bradley, Manny Pacquiao, Mike Alvarado, all solid fighters, he didn't really discredit himself fighting those guys, one of those guys. The Mike Alvarado fights, he fought him 3 times. Those were 3 wars that he was a part of. And he had said, he needed the time away. Those fights took so much out of him. 19-month layoff, I will say this, Brandon Rios looked pretty good for someone having a 19-month layoff. Now, what's next for him is a great question. Now, we assume he's down with Al Heyman. We assume. We really still don't 100% know yet. It looks that way. It looks like his fights are going to be under the PBC umbrella of some sort, whether he's directly dealing with Al Heyman or not. It is what it is, but he's going to be a part of the PBC card. So, more power to him there. So, there are fighters at 147 there underneath that branch and that umbrella of PBC that he'll be able to fight. There is quite a few of them, quite honestly, a ton of them that would make sense for him. So, that leads me to wonder a little bit of what's going to be next for Brandon Rios now. He's back to this being an active fighter. Now, obviously the fight we want to see the most is him versus Victor Ortiz. It's a grudge match. Neither one of these gentlemen like each other. It just makes the most sense. It makes all the sense of the world for that fight to be the next fight. But, we thought that was going to be the fight here. But unfortunately, Brandon Rios and Victor Ortiz couldn't agree to terms. Sounds like more of Victor Ortiz not really agreeing to terms and really being down for the fight. So to Rios' credit, instead of waiting around, he decided to find another opponent and keep his career moving. We can't say the same right now with Victor Ortiz. We're not even sure how much of a serious professional boxer he wants to be at this juncture. So, that leaves the question of who now do we want to see Brandon Rios fight at 147 pounds. Now, I threw a couple of names out during Sunday night's card. The one that honestly will probably make the most sense, especially if, he wants to be a title challenger at 147, and quite honestly, it would make for a great fight, is Shawn Porter. Now, people are going to say, why Shawn Porter? Shawn Porter is a couple of leagues above Brandon Rios, at least where they are as far as their careers go and where they rank amongst the 147-pound division. While I understand that, I will say this. There's not a lot of options for Shawn Porter. And what I mean by that is Shawn Porter is wanting to sit around and wait for Keith Thurman. I hate to tell you, Shawn, that fight's not going to happen. It's not. Shawn Porter should be looking to staying active and getting another fight. He fought Andre Berto here a couple of months ago, like a month and a half ago now. And instead of him wanting to get another fight in this fall or maybe even, late summer, he's saying, I'll sit around and I'll wait for Keith Thurman. He's literally going to wait the rest of this year for a fight that's not going to have any fruition. Keith Thurman, as we know, had elbow surgery. He's out at least until November. More than likely, we won't see him at all this year, so that's going to be one fight in 2017 for him. Shawn Porter, at this rate, would only have one fight in 2017 as well. So it makes no sense for him to sit around and wait. Take another fight. Find another challenger. And not to mention, Shawn Porter's style is not one of those a lot of guys want to face. A lot of guys don't want to fight him just because of his style. Now, styles make fights. A fight with him and Brandon Rios would be absolutely brutal. It would be fun to watch, but it would be brutal on both of those fighters. And I think it would be really good if it was on national television. So, forgive me for being the one who wants to see blood and guts out there, but I think it would make for a hell of a fight if those two would actually face off at 147. Another name that makes sense is, and depending if he wants to continue to fight, is Andre Berto. Berto is one of those guys, he's been active, so you can maybe put him a notch above Brandon Rios, but again, he's an action fighter. He leaves his heart there inside of the ring. You want guys like that to fight against Brandon Rios because those seem to bring the best out of each other. We've seen that in Andre Berto fights. When he's pushed that limit, he's got to go in. He goes in and he kind of throws caution to the wind. We've seen him be in these brutal, bang-out fights. We know that's what Brandon Rios has built up, so why not? That fight would make sense. It would be a good card to put on a PBC on whatever channel, or rephrase that, PBC on some channel, if they were to do that. So, there are options out there. Now, one thing I do want to say that I'm a little bit angry about is the way that this fight actually went down here on Sunday with Brandon Rios. Brandon Rios' fight was at 9 p.m. Central Time. Now, those on the East Coast, that was 10 p.m. your time. West Coast was 7:30, so it's still early for you. But it was on a Sunday night. And us here in the Central Time Zone, and I know my people out on the West Coast, we couldn't wait for the fight to get over. And not to mention, not only did you just not go straight to the main event, you had 3 fights that you showed, and then the main event. So it's one of those things to where this was very poorly planned by PBC or Fox Sports 1 or both parties involved. They had a fantastic lead-in to boxing on Sunday night when they had World Cup qualifying soccer. I want to say it was U.S. and Mexico that was on before the fight. It was one of the highest-rating soccer matches on television in quite some time. It would have made sense to that audience that was watching soccer lead in right into your main event fight. Why not? I mean, it just would have made more sense to do that instead of having a co-feature, a co-main event. Then you have a kind of a swing bout. Then you show your main event, and it just drug on so long that it was agonizing to where not as many eyes that were sitting there watching soccer. Those eyes started trickling away and diminishing because it was just starting to get late, and no one went to see guys they hadn't heard of, per se. So I think that was a really poor job of planning, both by the PBC and Fox Sports 1, the way this was put together. Now, I will say I do enjoy having the fights on Sunday nights, especially now we don't have Sunday night football. Basketball season is now over. We need something on television to keep our eyes, glued. And on a Sunday night, you're in for the evening, you're preparing yourself for the next work week. Why not have boxing on? So more power to Fox Sports 1 and PBC for doing those cards and putting those on Sundays, but maybe market it a little bit better, maybe put it on at a better time. That was another thing, in regards to the marketing. I watched UFC on Fox Sports 1 the day before. They showed no commercials whatsoever in regards to PBC boxing being on the following night, which made no sense to me whatsoever. I know PBC is a buy-in with Fox Sports. I get that. But for Fox Sports, you're also wanting to have eyes on your network. Why not run a commercial for programming that's airing on your network? I just didn't get that. I didn't understand that at all. I actually saw more ads for Kovalev Ward 2 during the UFC than I did for PBC that was airing on the same network. Just completely blew my mind the lack of promotion that was done for the fight. I don't get it. That's one of the downfalls of PBC is they poorly market the fights. Just do a bad job of it. So, So that's what I had in that regard. So Brandon Rios back now, 147. We'll see what's up next for him and who he decides to bang it out with going forward. But glad he's back. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Hopefully he can get some head movement going to where he's not taking as many shots going forward. But shout out to Brian Rios, 10 Goose Boxing, for him coming back and doing his thing. And again, call in to be a part of the show. And area code 929-477-3165. Tweet me at Brandon P2TF on Twitter. Also, you can email me at brandon@punchtotheface.com. Other boxing news is the now official Mikey Garcia versus Adrian Broner will happen here in July. That'll go down at the Barclays Center. Not really surprised that it ended up there at all. Makes sense for that fight to end up there. So you're going to have those guys squaring off now, Barclays Center. Big deal. It kind of feels like a big fight, but then it really isn't a big fight. And I say that with all respect for the simple fact of this feels like a cash-out fight for PBC in regards to Adrian Broner. We'll see. But definitely a fight that should be interesting with Mikey going up in weight. The key thing for me is, can Adrian Broner even make 140 pounds? That's going to be the most interesting part. So we'll see that live on Showtime here on July 29th. What else is going on here for boxing? We also have Julian J. Rock Williams is going to make his return back to boxing. That was after him suffering a devastating knockout. It's one of the Charlo brothers here last year, earlier this year. Last year. He's going to be facing a really interesting. He's going to be facing a Joshua Conley on Bounce TV here on June 30th. He's going to be part of the Bounce TV Championship Boxing, where Robert Easter's going to be making his title defense against Denis Shamanov. Hopefully I'm not saying that right. So that's here June 30th. So that's just a couple weeks from now. J-Rock's going to be making his return back. Now, I like Julian J-Rock Williams, but it kind of feels like him and his trainer have kind of not taking the high road in regards to taking that L and that knockout. They've said some kind of disparaging and greasy things in regards to the Charlos. I get it. Charlos are not likable guys. I find them to be a bit weird myself, but at the end of the day, I do think that, if you lose a fight, especially if you lose it fair and square, you tip your hat to your opponent. You say, you got me on this one. I'm going to come back and I'm going to try to get you on the next one. And that really hasn't happened from that camp. So I am interested to see how Julian J. Rock Williams reacts after suffering his first career loss. Not only suffering his first career loss, but suffering in a really devastating and tough manner. So that'll be interesting to see. But you'll be able to see him as part of the co-feature here on June 30th's Bounce TV card presented by PBC. Let me move into some MMA before our guests join us here this evening. Holly Holm is going to be fighting this weekend. Now, the problem is she's going to be fighting on the internet. This is, we say all the time, life comes at you fast. Man, is life coming fast at Holly Holm. I was a fan of Holly Holm. I will openly admit that. And, she was the first guest ever on Punch to the Face Radio. When we first did the initial Punch to the Face Radio, she was the first guest ever booked for the show. That was a fight before she joined the UFC. It was rumblings of her joining the UFC. And, I just reached out to her people. Was like, hey, you want to come on the show? She's like, sure. So, for that, I've never seen the other side of her that a lot of people are saying has been coming out more and more over the recent years, that she's just really not a good person at all. So, kind of strange, but it is what it is. But she's now fighting on the internet. Yeah, internet people. She's going to be fighting on UFC Fight Pass here on, I guess it's Saturday our time. I'm really not sure with it being in Singapore. I don't know how the time breaks down. I think it's like 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. It's 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time for us. Kind of strange that this fight is, that you're talking about the woman who defeated Ronda Rousey, the woman who they'd had labeled as being, the savior, the next thing, and it just really hasn't happened. Holly Holm right now is riding a very ugly losing streak. She's lost 3 fights in a row, choked out by Miesha Tate, completely, she pretty much got whitewashed by Valentina Shevchenko, and then she lost I'll say this, she lost a controversial fight against Jermaine Randamé here in February. I honestly thought Holly did enough to win that fight. But nevertheless, she's riding a 3-fight losing streak. And she's headlining an event over in Singapore. Now, her opponent, Betch Correia, Betch is currently, she hasn't lost a fight since she lost to Kel Pennington here last April. She's coming up with a split decision win over Jessica Ai. It was kind of questionable. And then she has a majority draw with Marion Renault here this past March. So, she's not really been really hot and stopping and winning fights. So I think either way it goes for this, somebody needs a stoppage, and somebody needs a stoppage bad. Holly needs a stoppage in a convincing win to get people back on her side. And I think that she's fallen off. Betch Correia needs it just because her fights have been close. The fights that she lost the split decision to Raquel Pennington. Take it out of the judge's hands. We know that you do have some punching power. We do know you do have some grappling skills. Put those to use. Like, try to do something there in the cage to where it's not in the referee's hands. So, this is one of those things. I don't think anybody's really going to be a winner in this. I think it's a really kind of a horrific main event to have. Thank God it's on Fight Pass, truth be told. I know a lot of people here in MMA media are bashing this because it is a really poor fight card from top to bottom. So I would be upset if I had to actually pay for it. Let me just call it what it is. It just isn't entertaining to me. It's nothing that I would go out of my way to watch. You said you got Holly Holm coming off of 3 straight losses. Your co-main event of the night is Andrei Arlovski. He's coming off of 4 straight losses. He's going to be taking on Marcin Tybura. Hopefully I'm not saying that right. He's currently running a 2-fight win streak here in the UFC, but it's against lesser opponents. The heavyweight division for the UFC is extremely thin. Matter of fact, the heavyweight division for the UFC just flat out sucks. From if you look at it from top to bottom, it's just no real guys there. There's a few guys, but right now it's just not that depth. There's no depth there. We need Cain Velasquez to be healthy. That would help out a lot, but we just don't have that right now. So that's why Andrei Arlovski is being given the opportunity to be a co-feature and a co-headliner in the heavyweight division at this point, coming off of 4 straight losses. 4. Your co-main event guys coming off of 4 straight losses. And it's not like they're 4 close losses. They're 4 stoppages. He's been stopped in all 4 of those losses. Francis Gano, who probably is the next best heavyweight in the division, next to Stipe Miocic at this rate, who's currently on a win streak. Josh Barnett also, he choked out Andrei Arlovski here last year. Obviously, Overeem had a knockout up, and then also Stipe Miocic. So it's not like Arlovski's losses are against B fighters. They're against, A-level and championship-level competition, but he's losing 4 straight fights. There's zero reason in the world why a fighter with 4 straight L's should be a co-main event on a fight card. It makes no sense. But this is where the UFC's heavyweight division is at. Now, also the card, you have Tarek Saffiedine versus Rafael Dos Santos. For Saffiedine, he's lost 2 fights in a row. Rafael Dos Santos, we haven't actually remembered that he was still around after Eddie Alvarez snatched his soul here last summer. He lost a unanimous decision to Tony Ferguson, where he just really didn't look to be good at all there fighting. So he's now moving up to welterweight for this bout. So this is going to be his first fight here, welterweight, in quite some time. 2 losses in a row for him. He's saying the weight cut did him in. He didn't feel right, didn't look right. Whatever, bro. Whatever you got to sell to yourself to think that this is a legitimate losing streak that you've been on is because of the weight. Whatever. I think that's maybe the worst thing a fighter can do is start blaming the weight cut for looking poor and just not saying, hey, I got outshined that night. But whatever, bro. So, this is what we're pretty much left with, for the card. Doug Hung Kim, and Cody Covington is maybe another interesting fight. For Kim, he's actually on a win streak. He's on a 3-fight win streak. Covington's a solid fighter. I think this is going to actually be the fight of the night. He's also coming off of 3 straight wins as well. This fight potentially will probably steal the show there in the welterweight division. So that's really the only fight, a part of the whole card I'm looking forward to. You also have Takanori Gomi, who is still somehow fighting. Age 38. This guy's been in a lot of wars throughout his career. You're talking about somebody who's fought nearly 50 fights. He's been a pro now for close to 20 years. He's been fighting since the 90s. And he's still fighting, still going. I don't know what he has left, but the UFC decided, hey, let's throw him on the card. Keep in mind, he's also coming off of 3 straight losses. He hasn't had back-to-back wins in MMA since 2012. This will be his first fight in nearly a year. But somehow, someway, with this fight being over in the nation market, I understand it. I get it. That's why you have Takanori Gomi on the card. He's going to be facing John Tuck. Tuck coming off of 2 losses himself, both split decision losses, nevertheless, but losses himself. So this is really a throwaway card for the UFC. As you can tell as I'm talking about this, the trend is this. You have so many fighters, with the exception of Kim and Covington, who are coming off of losses. Those 2 gentlemen, they have win streaks. Everyone else who's a part of the card is on a losing streak of some sort, or, is coming off of a draw or something like that. So it's tough to take this card really too seriously and really have a lot of enthusiasm about it, because there just isn't fights there that spark my interest. The bantamweight division is, I don't want to say it's up in the air, but, you never know. Holly Holm peels off on a win against Bethe Correia. She may be able to earn herself back into the title picture and back in the title hunt. They're at 135. Bethe could get herself back in it by beating the former champion. So, there's some moving parts there, but for the most part, this is really a throwaway card. It just kind of has that energy about it here for the UFC. But like I said, luckily that's on UFC Fight Pass, so if you miss it, don't worry about it, as bad as that may sound. You're not going to be missing a whole hell of a lot. Typically, when I say that, these are the cards that I'm having like some kind of crazy knockout that happens. But the bright side is if you can't watch it live on UFC Fight Pass and you do have a UFC Fight Pass membership, you can always go back and watch the fight later. So, if you're able to watch it live, 8 a.m. it starts here, Eastern Standard Time here for us in the U.S. So if you're up early Saturday morning, tune in and watch. I'll give you something to do. Unfortunately, I won't be able to watch it. I'll be working. So some of us have to work for a living when we're not doing podcasts. So that's what the UFC has on tap here this weekend. Next weekend they have Michael Chiesa. I always say his name, against Kevin Lee. I didn't even know this fight was a big fight. I pointed this out when they showed the promo video for it during the UFC this past weekend. I didn't even know this was a big fight or these guys are fighting, truth be told. But this will be another Sunday night card the UFC will put on. Some of these Sunday night cards are actually pretty good. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. I'll talk a little bit more about this. Hopefully next week we'll have some time so I can delve into some MMA on next week's show. I'll talk about the UFC. It'll go down from Oklahoma City next Sunday. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention here last weekend's card. I kind of lightly touched on it, but Mark Hunt picked up a much-needed win over Derek Lewis down in Auckland, New Zealand. It was a kind of an ugly bang-em-up fight a little bit. Derek Lewis was kind of swinging for the fences at times, wasn't able to connect. He ended up saying he ended up hurting his back. He had an old injury that kind of flared up on him again during the fight. It is what it is in that regards. But unfortunately, though, he said after the fight, Derek Lewis did, that what we saw of him here this past Saturday was more than likely his last time ever fighting MMA. He was getting married here this weekend back here in the States. He's had these injuries. He said he just didn't really want to have to put his new wife through this. So it sounds like we've seen the last of Derek Lewis there in the heavyweight division. Mark Hunt, who did pick up a win, is also 43 years old. Mark Hunt is also in legal battles with the UFC. So I don't think we've seen the last of Mark Hunt fighting. I'm not sure if we've seen the last of Mark Hunt fighting in the UFC. But it just goes to show you that the UFC's heavyweight division is just uber thin to where people are already saying that he could be right back in a title hunt with another win. No pun intended. But he could be right back in the title picture with another win. Right now, Mark Hunt is ranked number 7 in the UFC's rankings. And that is as of, I want to say this as of like today. Actually, they haven't put him up for today. This is as of last week. So the rankings actually haven't been updated since the fight. But you would assume with his win, he's going to move up from being 7. He'll probably move up to either 5 or 6. He'll obviously jump Derek Lewis, who's ranked above him. So, it just shows you how thin that division is. You have Mauricio Verdum, who's lost, Cain Velasquez, who can't stay healthy, Alistair Overeem, who's lost to Stipe Miocic, Junior Dos Santos, who just lost to Stipe Miocic. And then there's really only the guy who's in the top 5 who may pose a threat, but it may be too early for him, is Francis Ngannou. Now, for him, it may make the most sense for him to get the next title shot if Cain Velasquez isn't healthy. It's just such a strange thing with the UFC's heavyweight division. Like I said, it's uber thin from top to bottom. It's just not a good division. They let Roy Nelson go, who was a top 10, top 15 guy, to go to Bellator. So he didn't get re-signed. He's in Bellator now. He'll be making his debut with them sometime this fall. It's just strange. They have such a thin division that, it just is what it is. We have guys like Travis Brown, who's still ranked in the top 10. He's ranked 9. Hell, for that matter, Andrei Arlovsky, who has lost 4 fights in a row, is ranked number 8. So, again, thin division for the UFC. Kind of a shame, kind of a sham, but it is what it is in that regard. So, speaking of Bellator, let me touch on this here before Marlen Esparza calls in here to the show. I listened to the conference call they had here for Bellator NYC here this past, actually it was yesterday, this past Tuesday. A couple of interesting tidbits. Obviously, everyone now knows Mike Goldberg and Mauro Ranallo have now joined Bellator's announcing teams. From the sounds of it and the way you more likely see this is, Mike Goldberg may be your regular play-by-play guy for Bellator, and obviously if it's going to be weekends that a Bellator event happens, that's the same weekend of a championship boxing card from Showtime, obviously Mauro Ranallo won't do those. There's a chance you may see them, hear them both in the booth together, along with Sean Wheelock. Jimmy Smith. Along with Jimmy Smith there in the booth. So that's one thing that was announced. That's a good thing. And I know we really didn't like Sean Grandy, who's the announcer who replaced Sean Wheelock. So Mike Goldberg and Mauro Ranallo are huge upgrades for Bellator. And just another step Bellator's taking towards catching up to the UFC. Quite honestly, I think they have caught up to them, but that's just my opinion there. Another thing that was said during the conference call that was somewhat interesting and also weird was Vanderlei Silva was asking questions in regards to drug testing, whether he's been tested, and he kind of acted like at first he didn't understand the question. He also didn't understand why he didn't. He also just kind of gave really straightforward answers when he did answer. It was, very yes, no, very contrite, very kind of straight to the point answers when asked about have you had his drug test, has he paid for his drug test. For what I'm understanding, they actually are having to pay for these. He's actually taking his drug test while he's in Brazil. The New York State Athletic Commission is also going to be doing some testing for them, from what I understand. But Vanderlei's in Brazil, so I don't know how any of this is all working. This is just a very bizarre thing. He also said the reason why he didn't show up to a press conference they had set up in California last week is because he was a bit under the weather, but also he didn't want to see Chael Sonnen face-to-face because he would have punched him. It's just very strange things being said by Vanderlei. Chael Sonnen didn't stay on the call long. I mean, he stayed on it a decent amount of time. He answered a couple questions, made a statement, and then hung up. Just odd all the way around with those two. One question was asked to Scott Coker, the president of Bellator, that I thought was extremely interesting, that it was brought up, and kind of his answer, because he kind of danced around a little bit, was he sure that all the fights were going to go off as planned? And Scott was kind of taken aback by the question, because he was like, well, what do you mean all the fights will happen? Do I think it all happens planned? Of course I do. There was a tweet that went out here about a week and a half ago from former UFC light heavyweight and heavyweight champion and UFC Hall of Famer Randy Couture saying if anything were to happen, he's just a phone call away. He can jump on and he'd be willing to fight anybody on the card, which I thought was a bit odd that kind of came totally out of left field. I do know that his son Ryan Couture is going to be a part of the Bellator New York City card. He'll be fighting on the Spike TV prelim portion of the event card. So he's going to be up there fighting, and obviously Randy will be up there to corner him. But I thought that was kind of came out of left field for him saying that, but it really got me to thinking that if you have Vanderlei Silva, who hasn't taken a drug test yet here in America, you have Chael Sonnen, who we know has actually tested positive before. We have Matt Mitrione, who had kidney stones the night before he was supposed to fight Fedor Emelianenko a couple of months ago. You just don't know what's going to happen, and it's Bellator has a lot at stake with this being their second pay-per-view in the company's history, to where you've got retired fighters who are in their 50s willing to jump in and help you out. Very strange, very just odd circumstances surrounding all of that. So I don't know. I really can't call it in that regards. I don't know what's going to happen with Bellator New York City. That fight card is next weekend on pay-per-view. There's another conference call that's lined up for the event here on Friday, June the 16th, that I will be a part of. And so if you follow me on Twitter, Brandon P2TF, I will be giving live tweets throughout that conference call. I will say shout out to Chael Sonnen. He did a really great job of actually talking up the card and really pushing the card to us in the media there on the conference call. Ever the showman. You can tell he's very passionate about the sport. Maybe the best line he had on the conference call was someone had asked him about his loss to Tito Ortiz and him saying, Tito Ortiz sucks. I just sucked even worse that night. He was very, very I don't want to say gracious in defeat, but he's like, Tito's a horrible guy. Tito's, retired a second after winning the fight. But one thing he did say that I thought was very poignant and something that I think a lot of fighters in sports in general don't accept or understand. He says, you know what, I lost the fight. You suck it up, you learn from it, you go on to the next thing. You can't sulk on taking a loss. And that's something to Chael Sonnen's credit throughout his career he's never done. You've seen him take a loss, and he's still the arrogant, trash-talking guy the next fight around. It's like that loss never happened. It's like we forget. It's one of those things he's built that into us to where we almost kind of forget that he's even lost that fight. So, he's coming off of a loss, actually several losses in a row now, but it doesn't seem that way. He's going to be headlining Bellator's pay-per-view just because of the way he carries himself and the way he talks. So that's something I wish he could maybe pass on and teach to other fighters, not only in MMA but in boxing as well. Ever the showman when it comes to talking the sport of MMA. As my voice is starting out to go out. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a brief break before I lose any more of my voice, before our guest joins us, Marlen Esparza of Golden Boy Boxing. So I'm going to take a quick break, rest my voice a tad bit, get some water here to help me from becoming parched. We'll be back with more Punch in the Face Radio. All right, I am back here on Punch the Face Radio. I'm your host, Brandon Stubbs. Appreciate you joining me here. As always, every Wednesday night, we talk here boxing and MMA. We're waiting here. We're a few moments away from our guest, 2012 Bronze Olympian Marlen Esparza, Golden Boy Boxing's first female boxer signed to their roster, from calling in and joining us here on the show to talk the progression of her career so far here in 2017, and as well the movement that is women's boxing. We're getting a lot of women's boxing getting exposure on broad markets. Clarissa Shields, by chance, has now signed. I think it's official here today. She signed with, was it Salita from Toledo's Boxing up there in Michigan. So look for her to be fighting a lot more there. I think she actually has a fight coming up here this weekend, as a matter of fact. So women's boxing is really blowing up, and that's why I wanted to have Mrs. Esparza here, a part of the show, and get her take on that and the movement that these women are doing here in the sport. See, actually, Clarissa fights here this Saturday night up in Detroit. So I definitely want to get Marlena's opinion on all things here in regards to the sport of women's boxing. And also as well, I want to tell everyone, if you've missed any of the Punch the Face Radio shows, please subscribe on iTunes. So make sure if you're listening on iTunes, appreciate you listening. And if you're listening for the first time live here through Blog Talk, make sure you subscribe on iTunes and just search through iTunes podcast feature, Punch to the Face Radio. You'll be able to find all of our shows. You'll even be able to find some of my old shows that I did a part of another radio network. If you want to download those, you can. I really don't care, but these are the ones you want to listen to now here, the new Punch the Face Radios here that air every Wednesday here on Blog Talk Radio. And also, again, next week we'll have Adam Abramowitz, a.k.a. Saturday Night Boxing. He'll be back on the show. He makes his triumphant one-month return here to the show to talk boxing with me. I know he'll have a lot of opinions about a lot of different things. We've already kind of talked about a few of these things we have opinions on here via DM and Twitter this evening. I can tell you this already, just as a heads up for next week's show. Next week's show will probably be extremely volatile. In a good way, really in a good way. I know we're going to have a lot of opinions on what we'll see here this coming Saturday with War Kovalev Part 2. in the undercard with that. We also have some other things in regards to some other fights that have been booked since Adam came on last on the show that we'll have to have an opinion about. And obviously, the elephant in the room, we will officially, and for me, my only time, we'll talk Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, and that fight being booked. So we'll talk all of that come next week's show. So I can't stress enough, if you're a listener or follower here to either one of us, Adam on Twitter at SNBoxing, me at Brandon P2TF on Twitter. Next week's show will probably be the best me and Adam have ever put together, period. I'm just going out of a limb. I'm saying that now ahead of time. Next week's show, it's either going to be the greatest we've ever done. We've done a few now. We haven't done that many to where we can really build that up. But I will say this, next week's show with Adam Abramowitz will probably be the best me and him have done on Punch to the Face Radio. And it will probably be one of the better shows I've ever done on Punch to the Face Radio. I just kind of have that inkling from the wavelength me and Adam are on right now in regards to some subject matters here this week. Next week's show is going to be special. It'll be special for another reason as well that I'll also touch on during next week's show. So, hey, that's what it is. So we're waiting on our guest to chime in here. Like I said, Marlen Esparza, 2012 Bronze Olympian, fighter here with Golden Boy Boxing. Golden Boy's got a lot of good things going for him right now. So, it's very important for her to continue to ride that wave. They've got a good way of going, good thing going with a lot of things with a lot of fighters. A lot of, like I said, a lot of good energy coming from there despite what some people are saying, despite people wanting to burn Oscar for his open letter in regards to him, his thoughts and his impressions in regards to Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather fighting. Otherwise than that, Oscar's doing good things for boxing, so glad for them. But it looks like she's actually calling in now, so we'll bring her on. You're here live here on Face Radio.
Hi, good to be here.
Well, good evening. Well, good evening. And thank you for joining us.
Meaning I'm through the phone. I wish I was actually there. That'd be a lot more fun.
Well, welcome to the show. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. Just living life, doing what I usually got to do. I'm glad to be on the show.
Well, we appreciate you taking up the time now. This has now been your year. 2017, you're now pro. So maybe the first question I'll throw at you is this. What's been the biggest adjustment for you, both in ring and out of ring, from being, your Olympian, your amateur fighter, to now being a full-fledged pro here in 2017?
First of all, 2017, is my year. I'm killing it right now. I can just feel it in my bones. I'm going to get even better. But the transition was, everybody used to tell me it's different. And I'd be like, yeah, blah, 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 thinking I'm the most. But no, it's been difficult. It's not an easy transition, and I respect anybody who's done it even more than I already did in the past. It's hard because you go from an amateur status where people there's more structure. You know the rules. You know what you got to do. You represent your country, and you go here and you go there, and it's very simple. And then you go from kind of, it's kind of adulting. You go from being a kid in a house when your parents take care of you to doing it all by yourself and making your own team and figuring out what's right for you and how to do it. And it's the transition of making your own team and understanding how to do it yourself and making your own decisions versus having someone make decisions for you, I would say is the most difficult part of the entire idea.
But in a way, though, I mean, and obviously, as more time goes on for you, it's going to be easier for you to do. But that's also a good thing. Now you have more of your career in your hands.
Oh, yeah. And I think that was one of the major things that I had. That's the major problem. I love the pros a lot more. It was one of the difficulties that I had as an amateur, that I wasn't able to make my decisions, and I was very outspoken, very like, no, we should do this. No, this isn't right. I was that person, and no one likes to know it all. But whenever you're in the pros and you can make your own decisions, and I know what I like, I know what I want, and it's kind of just more of it's hard to trust yourself in certain situations. But it's been good. It's been good, and I think that I've done, considering it's only my second fight, I'm with Snack, I'm with Victor Conti, I'm still with the sponsors I had, I'm with Virgil Hunter, I'm in the gym with the best of the best all the time. I'm with Ward. I think he's giving me, I have complete structure. I have a sprint coach, I have a track coach, I have an S&C coach, I have a cut man, I have a team, and I couldn't really ask for anything better given the fact that I'm only 2 fights in. So I think I'm progressing really well, and I even moved states. I already have an apartment before my second fight. I had everything moved in. I'm here, and I'm ready to rock and roll, and things are only just going to get better.
Look at you. You got it all planned out together. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, you're saying, you have these things planned out and together. What made you decide, when you decided to go pro, to say, you know what, Golden Boy Promotions is the direction I need to go. This is the team that I need behind me to help push me?
I think the truth and the reason behind that is they were the better decision because of the vision. So I don't care what your vision is, whether you want to be a painter, a sculptor, a knitter, a lawyer, a doctor, regardless of what the vision is, it's like who wants to get there. So my vision is this island. I'm trying to get to this island, whether it's boxing, Golden Boy, the promoter. Who has the same idea as me? Do I want to swim there? Do I want to get on a jet ski? Do I want to get there? Do I want to scuba dive there? Do I want to get a speedboat? I don't know, but I'm going to get to this island, right? So who has the same vision as me on how am I going to get to this island? And I feel that we all every promoter had their eye on this island, but Golden Boy understood me as a person. It took about, I didn't tell anybody, but I was shopping for about 8 months, almost a year before I made my decision. And it was that Golden Boy had the same vision of how are we going to get to this island. I have a lot more to offer than just boxing. And there was you can't just sell me on a hope and a dream. You got to be real with me. I'm not trying to deal with car salesmen and, tell me that everything's going to be good when I know it's not. They shot me straight. They offered me what I felt that I deserved. They didn't try to cheapen what I felt my worth was. And at the same time, they saw my vision. We're going to get to this island, but we're going to get the way we want to get there. And we agreed that this is the best way. And that was why I went with Golden Boy and Oscar and Eric. And I feel like we make a good team together.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you've been blessed to be on 2 big platforms on your first 2 fights. You're part of the first card that they had there on ESPN, a part of their television deal there. And then I had the opportunity to actually see you fight live during the Canelo Chavez Jr. undercard. So, I mean, 2
I'm glad you
big
saw that
events
one, because my
for
first one wasn't that great.
Well, I mean, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, it was a lot of
work in progress, so.
Yeah, it was. I was tight. The first one I was tight, but the second was better. It was more me. It wasn't as bad as good as I could have been, but it was me. So I'm glad that you saw that one.
Now, with that being stated, with them putting you on such large platforms early on, now I guess I'm just going to throw this out here. Should we expect you to be a part, whether it be on the undercard portion or maybe in a fight card that weekend? Are you going to try to get some way be involved in the Canelo Triple G fight weekend or fight card itself?
Oh, heck yeah. That's all me. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I love your energy on that. You're like, yeah, I'm there. That's me.
No, it's because the way I see things, if you don't envision them, if I don't already have in my mind that that's where I'm fighting, that's what I'm doing, then that's not going to happen. I have to magnetically pull it towards me. So I'm already at night in my bed, visualizing me on that card. Who's going to be on that card? What is it going to be like seeing them fight? Where am I going to be at in that card? How am I feeling? What am I thinking? What am I wearing? Who am I fighting? That's what I do. I'm already on that card, period. Has it been said out loud? No. Have we strayed in that direction? Yeah. But to make it real, you gotta be there already before it happens, and I'm already there. So yeah, I'm on that card.
Now, that's something where, we're about 90 days away from, is that something you anticipate having a conversation with the powers to be a Golden Boy here in the next, 4 to 5 weeks, saying, hey, I want to be a part of that card that weekend. Let's get it together. Let's get it knocked out so I can get, focused on training. Is that something you think you'll have a fight announcement or fight scheduled maybe here in the next, I'd say, sometime after 4th of July?
Well, actually, I don't celebrate holidays because it gets in the way of boxing. But my plan is, you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And I don't even know who said that, but I know it's been said, and I've stuck by that. And I've been staying ready. I don't sit out of the gym. I do travel a lot. I go to the UK a lot. I go everywhere a lot. So I'm always in the gym, whether it's a hotel gym, whether it's a boxing gym I can find. Now I'm back in San Francisco. I've been in the boxing gym for the last 4 or 5 days. I just stay ready, and it's not a question of oh, do I start my camp? It's like, hey, I'm ready. So are we going to do this? Can we do this? How can we make this happen? And yeah, as soon as, actually, to be honest with you, I'll probably make the call in a few days and just see, how Eric and how Oscar feel about it. See, what we can do. But I don't think that they haven't said no. They, I think they're all for it. I think they're just trying to see what's going to happen, and I'm just staying ready because it's not going to be like, oh, they said yes, so let me go in the gym and start. No, I'm starting now because I'm planning on being on that card. So it'll be more of hey, just reassure me that I'm in the gym for this card type thing.
Now, I respect and I admire your hunger so much because that's something that a lot of times with fighters, both in boxing and mixed martial arts, I hear it too often of, they're not staying ready, or some that say they're staying ready and then you see them and they're far from ready. So I definitely admire that hunger and that drive in you. Now, with female fighters, I have to ask this question. I ask this to all the female fighters and even those
Please,
part of the business that I talk to, that, what's needed to help really truly elevate women's boxing to a higher level? We're seeing the momentum really turn here in 2017, and you're one of the faces of that. But what do you see as being some of the key things that need to happen for this to continue to go forward to where it's just not a flash in the pan or a novelty, to where you ladies continue to have this great exposure that you're having right now?
I think there's a lot that plays into that. But to be blunt and honest, and there's going to be a lot of people hearing this probably being like, oh, there goes Marlen, because everyone likes to, be whatever. But the truth is, to me, in my honest opinion, is that, first of all, society, period, point blank, whether it's boxing or career, any sport, any profession, it's always, women are always a little bit second. I always keep saying, if you go look at my social media, the future is female, the future is female. We are coming up a lot, but I think in order, back to your question, to get everything together and keep this momentum, and what do we need to do, is that we need to stick together. There's a lot of rivalries. There's a lot of who's better than who. And the difference between the men and the women is they know who their rivals are, but are they trying to push everybody else down? No, they don't. I think women do the opposite. There could be someone in a completely different weight class who completely hates me for no reason. I'm not fighting you. You are not my problem. You will never be my problem. If you don't like the way I look, the way I dress, if you don't like who I'm with, that's your own problem. Let's keep it to boxing. And I think that's what separates the men and the women. I think if the women in boxing in general, or women in general, were to support each other, worry about me when I'm going to fight you. Talk about me when I'm going to fight you. Worry about me if I'm in your weight class. But if you don't have anything to do with me, then don't deal with me in a negative way. And I think that's where we have our first problem. I think this is not a rivalry. Not only one girl can be on top. There's multiple divisions and multiple girls, and we need to support each other. Second of all, I think that we all need to make sure that we don't make any wrong moves. We have our foot in the door. And I think that we all, in our own entity, need to strive to be better for ourselves, not to be better than the next person or the person next to me, but to be better for myself. That means don't go out and go get into some stuff you're not supposed to be getting into. Don't don't put yourself in a bad light. Don't go sell yourself on sex when you should be selling yourself as a fighter. Have respect for you, have respect for women in general, and, promote yourself. That's the third thing. Go promote yourself. Maybe it might cost you money, you might lose money to make money, but you really got to go out. I might have to pay for airfare and a flight to get on a show because I need to be on that show. And you might have to bite the bullet a few times, but that's what we need to do to stay on top and to keep this momentum. And, be cheeky when you need to be cheeky. Be sly when you need to be sly. But don't be hateful when you don't need to be hateful. And don't throw cheap shots when you don't got to throw them. It's just build yourself. Build yourself and build everybody around you. And when you want to fight, well, then we'll get nitty and gritty. That's when it comes down to it. And that's just the way I think we'll build ourselves. It's a lot of moving pieces, but I think we need to get it together as women, and I think it'll happen for us because there's a lot of talent and a lot of people a lot of girls that I know about that the world doesn't know about. So if we just can stick together and learn how to make the moves correct, then I think we don't have a problem.
Wow, you actually answered a question that I was going to ask in regards to trash talking. So I'm glad that you brought that up and you mentioned that because I see it on social media, and like you said, there's some fighters who have decided to take shots at you, and you're not even remotely close to the weight class. And I just kind of scratched my head at that one, like that makes zero sense. But hey, man, the jealous ones will always envy when others are doing well. So keep doing your thing in that regard. Don't let them sweat you. You have the perfect attitude towards this, Marlen. I'm becoming a huge fan right now doing this interview, just by the way you're talking and things you're saying. so you're definitely doing your fan base here because it's the truth. Yeah.
It's the truth, and the thing is, like, don't get me wrong, you got to be a little bit off to be a fighter, okay? So someone's going to say some stuff, and I'm going to be like, oh, like, I could just feel it explode inside me where I'm just going to go in and throw some low blows and be like, oh, you want to say this? Well, then I'll say this. But it's not, it's the bigger picture, and it's something that I've suffered with since, since I hit the gym when I was 10 years old, 11 years old. And it's, the bottom line is the hatred, and I've noticed that I know everybody notices, but I've gotten a lot more shots than anyone's gotten. People come at me all the time from all types of weight classes. Everybody's throwing shade. I get shade from all these people that I'll never fight you. You are not in my weight class. Why are you worried about me? But I'm just that girl. I'm just that girl. And the only way that I can help everybody understand is just deal with it correctly. You just lead by example. So you want to say something, then say it. And like, unless you're going to fight me, then I don't have nothing to say to you. Like, I hope you do well. And that's as far as I can go. Because if I start doing that, then it's just going to let the little 8-year-old girls that are following me, the ones that I see, the ones that are like trying to make it and think that finally they can make a career out of it. Because when I was 8 years old, it was impossible. What I'm doing right now was impossible when I was 8 years old. So I'm not going to sit there and say and do it back so they can think that that's what it's supposed to be like. So they could do that when they're 10, 11, 12 in some amateur tournament talking mess to some little girl, because they can, because they think they're supposed to. It's not that. It's not the way to do it. And I get a lot. I got a lot more heat than Clarissa. I got a lot more heat than Katie Taylor. I got a lot more heat than Nicola Adams. But hey, like, I ain't gonna say nothing until I need to say it. And if I want to come at you, it's because I'm gonna fight you. It's because you're in my weight class and because I'm coming for you. And besides that, it's all about boxing. This is about my talent versus your talent. This isn't about where you live, where you came from, or who you are as an individual. That's your business. And I think that's what women need to understand in this sport and in general. And that's how I'm taking it.
Joining us, Marlen Esparza, who's completely slaying it here on Punch the Face Radio. Slaying it, girl. You're killing it. Love it. Now, something you did say, and I do want your opinion on this, with you being a role model to a lot of young women and a lot of young women who want to box and become fighters, like you said, how important is it to kind of keep that clean image about yourself to where these girls have somebody to look up to and to aspire to be? Because, unfortunately, in boxing, you and I both know, we don't have a lot of great role models. A lot of them have done a lot of weird stuff. So
because we're weird,
especially for well,
I mean, like I
bad
said, you
stuff.
got to be
I don't want to say weird stuff, but bad stuff. I mean, yeah, I mean, you got to be a bit crazy to be able to get.
To be misunderstood is to be great. You know, it's just we're a little bit off. Everybody is. Everybody has their problems, whether it's morphing. But yeah, I mean, your question. Sorry, I interrupted your question. But when it comes to that situation of how to be a role model, sorry, I cut you off. You said that when it comes to little girls that are watching me, that I brought it up, and that I didn't understand. The question was, how am I going to keep that up? Was that the question?
Yeah, why is that so? Yeah, why is that so important to you to be a positive role model to the young ladies out there who want to not only be just fighters but just want to be something in life? Period. How important is that to you be a positive role model for them out there?
That is the most important thing to me. It's not a important thing. It's the literally most important thing. And I think it's just because the way I grew up. Period. Once, both my parents are from Mexico, first generation Mexican American. I was told a lot of things. What I was and wasn't supposed to do. What I was and wasn't allowed to be. How I'm supposed to be able to cook and clean. Get an education just in case. But first of all, be a good wife. And get married, and who you're married to is kind of like your title and how far you made it in life. And that's not bad against my parents. That's just how they knew things. And to be a role model and why it's so important for every girl in general, and why it matters to me is because I want people to set a good example of that. I've learned the difficult way that it's not men against women. It's just about the bigger picture. So I want to set a good example in the way of letting them understand that no matter what, we're all in the same boat. So there's limits, there's levels to the things that need to be said, and there's levels of respect. Am I going to respect everybody? Yes. In the ring? No. So once I step in those ropes, those rules do not exist. When it becomes a fight, and because it is a fight, it's like you're trying to hurt me and I'm trying to hurt you, and that's in those ropes. But once I get out of those ropes, it's not about that. We're all in the same boat, and we're all trying to be better people, and we're all trying to be better women and set an example, period. And the little girls that are watching, I want them to understand that. I want them to understand that there's no rivalry to the girl next to you. God, nobody says, hey, only 10 women can be successful this year. Only 2 women in boxing can be the face of boxing. The face of boxing. You hear that over and over. It's like, look, we can all be successful in our own right, and how you choose to do it is up to you. I would just prefer to set the example of that. I respect you. I'm not trying to knock anybody's grind. I'm not trying to smash anybody's dream, unless your dream is to smash me, and then I'm gonna smash that real quick. That's about it. Like it's about the separating life from separating the sport and what happens in the competition between me and another woman, not against me and all women. And that's what I want them to understand. Is that, and whether it comes to profession, it's not you don't have to hate. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to hate them when it comes to outside of the profession. But when it comes to the interview, you're still trying to be better than the person who's also interviewing for the job. And you just got to be the best you. And you hope that the best you is worthy and deserving of exactly what you want. And if you work hard enough, it always will be. And that's what I'm just trying to tell little girls. Just be a good person. Be a good person. And when you got to be savage because you got to be savage, well, then be savage.
I can literally listen to you talk all day. I swear to God. We're going to make sure you're going to be back on Punch the Face Radio again. I'm just going to put that out there now. Now, I guess we'll go with – I have to ask this question because you are a professional fighter, and I've been boggled here the whole show with this being announced. As a professional fighter, as a professional boxer, more than put it in that frame, how big of a joke to you is Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather? Please be as 100% blunt and honest as you want on this one.
It's about money. And
Thank you.
I think it's about money, and I ain't gonna knock anybody because they try to make money. Who doesn't want money? Money, and the thing is, dude, money is not the end all be all. Money is not happiness. Money is freedom. In this country, in this world, money is not status. Money is freedom. Money is the fact that you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. So I'm not gonna knock anybody for just trying to make their money. How they do it in this aspect, because it has to do with my world, a little bit comical because, you know, it's like, come on, guys. Like, yeah, the MMA people thinking that Conor can actually beat Mayweather in a boxing ring, and then you have boxers that are actually some way trying to doubt that, which is like, but wait, what? Like, do you not understand boxing? Like, are we confused on what boxing is? That's like trying to throw Mayweather in the UFC or in the MMA or UFC. I don't even know what is it UFC or MMA that Conor McGregor is under? UFC, right?
UFC's the promotion, but it's MMA. It's close enough. We know.
Yeah, MMA. Yeah, because I'm about that, right? So you're it's like trying to throw Mayweather into MMA and UFC and saying that Mayweather is going to win. Like, come on. Like, you know good and well that if we put Mayweather in an octagon, he will not stand a chance. And it's the same difference. You're not going to throw McGregor into the ring with Mayweather and have him win. He's never been there. He's never walked that road. He doesn't know what he's getting into. He talks. You know, one thing about McGregor, I don't even watch UFC. I'm not. I'm only a boxing fan on the real because that's just what I know. It's what I like to watch. It's all me. But I know McGregor because of he is one smart. The way he talks is just so comical, and he is just on point all the time. Like, I love him to death because he knows how to get into people's heads. He mind F's you really bad every time, and he's confident. So that's what makes people question the situation. But come on, no. It's like it's money, and it's in Mayweather. He's going to be prepared, and he knows what he's getting into. And he didn't become Mayweather making bad decisions. He wouldn't take the fight if he thought that he was going to lose. He has no reason to.
Exactly. I mean, my sentiments exactly. It's just puzzling. It's just puzzling me all the way around. But the final question of the night, and maybe the most important question of the night for you, Marlen, is this. We know that Chobani is one of your sponsors. So, what is your favorite flavor of Chobani yogurt?
Ooh, I have the coconut. There's like this. It's a flip. So I'm a flip person. The flip cups. So you have the regular Chobani, right, where you can like mix it with. There's like strawberry, mango, all that. Well, I'm a flip cup, so it's like coconut. It's like coconut walnut chocolate. So it's like a mixture of coconuts, chocolate, and like nuts, and then you flip it into the plain yogurt and you mix it up. That's my stuff. That's my dip. Oh, and then there's another one. There's a peanut butter and jelly one. That one's legit too. The flip ones, if key lime pie, there's another one.
Yes.
But if anyone, if you really want to go with your body, their smoothies ended up actually being really good. And on top of it, I would just say go with the flips. Try some flips because the flips always are the best.
See, that, like I said, that was the most important question of the night. I mean, that's the yogurt. I mean, that's the lifeblood. I mean, that's good nutrition for you as a fighter. It's good snacks for us normal people who just live day-to-day life. Good stuff from Chobani. I like them. Good people.
No, they're good, and then the ingredients are real. And the only reason I'm saying this, not because they told me, but because I've actually had to go to their farm and, like, look at the cows and see how the cows are and how they breed them and what they do with them and how they treat them, because I'm also been with PETA for a long time, so I'm big on animal rights. And no, they do things correctly when they say that it's real and it's healthy, no bad stuff. They're not playing around. And I can also tell with my body, when I eat it, when you eat unhealthy and you feel it the next day, and Chobani doesn't do that, but for anybody who doesn't want to go like just straight like, oh my God, just let me eat a plain yogurt with a little bit of flavor, because I have a sweet tooth. I'm Mexican. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, the flips. I would do the flips. They're good.
Oh man, like I said, I can listen to you talk all night, but we're not gonna hold you up, man. Okay, Marlen
I talk a
Esparza,
lot. I can probably talk
I
all
don't know, man. You're an awesome guest. You're, and I'm gonna anoint you. You're the first lady of Golden Boy Boxing. With you being the first woman signed there, you're the official first lady of Golden Boy Boxing. If Oscar has a problem with that, he can come talk to me.
Hopefully the last.
You're the alpha and the omega.
I'm gonna try to keep it to the only girl for a few years, one time. I'm not trying to compete. I mean, maybe if it's another weight class, but nothing around mine. Like, let's keep it to like the 165-pounders, let's keep it to the heavyweights, but something around me, let's just keep it to me for a little bit. I think they're supportive.
Oh, yeah, they've got your back. Now, let the fans know where they can follow you on social media and keep tabs up with your training, and when we get that next big fight announced.
The next big fight will be announced, I'd say as soon as I get major permission, so maybe like I'd say 3-4 weeks, but social media, Marlen_Esparza, which is my Instagram, and Marlen112 Boxing, which is my handle for Twitter. So I'm active on both. Twitter is more inspirational stuff, and I'm really better with Instagram because I like to post, and I'm good on the Instagram Live. And Facebook's, to be honest, is just a fan page. So I never was into social media when Facebook started. So it's basically just what I'm doing. So, but if you really want to hear from me, you really want to see me, I would say Instagram is the place to be. And then Twitter, you'll hear from me all the time. I'm good with fans when they need help. DM me. I check DMs just to make sure, there's lots of little people, little girls that need help, and lots of people that kind of want inspiration, and I'm always ready to write back. So that's where I'm at. So Marlen112 Boxing on Twitter and Marlen_Esparza on Instagram. And I don't even know my Snapchat name, to be honest. I think it's just Marlen Esparza. That's how bad I am with social media.
We'll worry about that next time. But you just continue to do your thing, training, hard work, stay ready, and we'll be looking forward to watching you Mexican Independence Day weekend. Canelo, Triple G card. We know. You're going to be there. You're going to be there.
We're here.
We're
there. See?
You're there.
See, you're doing it with me. Speak it into existence for me. We'll be there. Don't worry. We'll be there.
You will be there in the building, fighting, knocking ladies out, and doing your thing. So, again, Marlen Esparza, we appreciate you joining the program here this evening. You take care, and we'll be in contact with you, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, and thanks for hearing me out. And everybody who's listening, thank you.
All right. No, thank you. Thank you. All right. Again, big shout-out to our guest here, Marlen Esparza, Golden Boy Boxing, the first lady of Golden Boy Boxing. So shout-out to her for coming on the program. Now, I do have a couple callers in queue. I want to get them on here before the show is out here tonight. Let me get, because I know who this one is. Let me get to him first. All right, caller, you're live here on Punch the Face Radio.
It's about War Coverland this Saturday night, man. What's good? It's your boy. What's going on, Pippin?
Oh, man, my homie, Money Mike, man, how you living, Mike?
Yo, I can't wait till Saturday night because you got the number 1 pound-for-pound boxer on the card. You got the number 4 pound-for-pound boxer on the card, which is Rigo. He finally got a fight. Let's get it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk.
Well, as I've said, I'm championing this fight because it is real boxing between real fighters that needs to get real media attention. I can't stress that enough, okay? I'm actually going to break down and spend money on a pay-per-view. I don't do that. I'm cheap. Everyone knows that. I'm ordering this. I want to see this fight. I want to see if emotion is going to come into play. I want to see if Andre Ward's really going to try to go out and go for a knockout and try to brawl. I want to see if Sergey Kovalev can keep his head right and if John David Jackson really wasn't trying to play games with him. I want to see this fight. And I very rarely do I say that. I'm willing to put money behind my mouth and pay for something. I'm ready to watch this fight.
Well, I'm telling you right now, I got a whole group of us. We go to my favorite bar. I think the homie, the casual boxing fan, you know who she is. I think I'm gonna scoop her. We're gonna go watch boxing at my bar. Straight jack all night. That's what I do. And we gonna watch Andre Ward put the beats on Sergey Kovalev once again. No excuses. Saturday night pay-per-view. Let's go.
Now, I love you, Mike, but this is where we differ. I do say that Sergey Kovalev is going to get a stoppage. However, and I have to say this with a caveat, if Sergey Kovalev does get a knockdown early, but if he expends too much energy, puts too much emotion behind those punches early on in the fight, he's going to wear himself out. And I do look for Andre Ward to one of the cards, but my official pick is Sergey Kovalev via stoppage. Now, I know I'm in the minority in this one. I'm used to it. I've grown up black, used to being in the minority and everything. But with Sergey Kovalev, the stoppage.
Listen, I don't see a stoppage. But I think the key to this fight is this. How often Andre Ward can get that little check jab to Sergey Kovalev's midsection. I think that's going to be a key. And another key to the fight, how often is Andre Ward going to use his right hand? Because similar to the Carl Froch fight, Andre Ward really beat him with one hand throughout the latter stages of the fight because he said he overtrained, he got tired. But you know what? Andre Ward made the requisite adjustments throughout the fight. And there were some times where Sergey Kovalev could have threw that uppercut. He didn't. Why? Because he was tired. Or he was worried about Andre Ward counterpunching him, and Andre Ward is a great counterpuncher. So once the early rounds are going to be pivotal. So Kovalev, which I hope it doesn't happen, if he could get through Andre Ward like he did the first fight, it starts obliterating him. It's up to Andre Ward to make those adjustments. And Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev, when it comes to adjustments, Andre Ward all day. Andre Ward, close, split decision. It could be 1-4. I'm thinking it could be 115, 113. It could be close, 114, 113 again. I can see Andre Ward getting knocked down, but not out, and coming back and winning this fight, too. I can see that. I do not see Andre Ward slugging with Kovalev and making this a slugfest. I don't see it. I don't see it. He's going to be smart, tactical. He better not. He's going to be smart, tactical, and he's just going to pick him apart. And a smart, tactical fight, and no excuses. Andre Ward, still number one, pound for pound. Don't care what ESPN says. I don't care what the other magazine says. It's Andre Ward, number one, pound for pound, period. Let's go.
I will agree, obviously, with a win here that would put him at number one above Terence Crawford and Lomachenko. I think it'd be mindless to say anything other than that right now. But I think we're in for a hell of a fight. And I honestly think the undercard this time around may be better than the last fight. I know we don't really watch in order to pay-per-view for the undercard, but this is one of those situations. Guillermo Rigondeaux may actually be in for a real fight. We have Luis Ortiza, I always get his name misenunciated, from Rock Nation. He's going to be finally getting an opportunity to fight on a large stage and not fighting in bingo halls. So I'm glad that we get the chance to see him in person and there in front of a big crowd. So I'm excited for the fight, and I'm excited for fight fans because it's real boxing. This is what we're really about. This is real boxing here. I can't stress the real part. I'm going to say it again. Real boxing.
Yep, it's real boxing. It's gonna get real live. The jack is gonna be poured throughout the entire night. I'm telling you, Saturday night is gonna be ordered pop. I can't wait. I can't wait for this fight. I've been looking forward to this rematch since Andre Ward won the first fight. I just can't wait. And there's something I'm gonna bring up, and another reason why I want Andre Ward to win. And you know what? People might have forgotten. I will never forget. I'm sorry. When you refer to a black man as a monkey and have a monkey shirt, I'm sorry. You need to get the shit kicked out of you. And I hope Andre Ward does that off the strength of that alone. So I will never forget that That's my pick. It's going to be a split decision because, with the nonsense that with the judges, main events, they agree to the judges. So, they're going to have a judge that's going to favor Kovalev, and it's going to be on that swing judge. Even if it's lopsided, the scores are going to be close. So, I'm hoping for a lopsided fight for Andre Ward, but if it's close, I still believe Andre Ward is still going to win.
And by the way, we do know Adonis Stevenson is flying coach on a commercial flight to Las Vegas to watch the fight. If you guys haven't seen the photo Adonis Stevenson posted, you can't call yourself the king of the division and you an ex-Panther. You flying commercial and coach. You can't do it. You can't do it, baby.
It doesn't add up because, we getting that Al money, that Al Heyman chicken. So how you going to fly coach? You getting all this chicken. So you got the cars and everything. You talk about you the king, baby, and all that nonsense. And you flying coach? Come on, man. You got at least fly business class. You thinking Al Heyman for all this chicken you get it. You flying coach? Come on, man. Go supposed to wear Adonis Stevenson. Come on, man. Come on.
And if you're going to do that, you don't take a picture. You don't take a picture of that. So no bueno on that. You can't do it.
No, sir.
All right, Mike. Well, I appreciate you chiming in and hanging in there with me here this evening. Next week, Adam's back on the show, so obviously we'll talk post-mortem about Ward Kovalev 2. And me and Adam will both give our final and probably our only time we'll ever talk about it. We're going to air out our grievances in regards to Mayweather McGregor getting made official here today. So chime in next week with us. I know you always listen, my brother. I appreciate you. You're good peoples. You got Miss Donna's blessing, so she hates everybody. So if Miss Donna likes you, that's a good thing.
Shout out to Miss Donna. Shout out to my man. Put to the face, man. Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Brandon, that energy you just had was fire. Keep doing the great work, man. I'm going to hit you up next week, and I'm going to celebrate when Ward wins. You're going to be a little upset, but I'm going to have that fan flow and my jack chilling. So I'll hit you up next week.
All right, man. Nothing but love, Mike, man. You take it easy. We'll talk to you next week.
No doubt, Pippin.
Shout out to Mike Money. So follow Mike on Twitter. If you don't follow Mike on Twitter, please do. Mike Money 214 on Twitter. Huge boxing fan, big supporter of Brandon Stubbs since I've started this podcasting stuff. But I got another supporter here on the line. I know this area code as well, and he's been somebody else hanging in an awfully long time here on the show to call in and chime in. I believe this is my people, Jesse, up in Oregon. So you're live here on Punch in the Face Radio. Hello, Jesse, you there? Hello? All right, not sure if Jesse had it on mute or not, but he was there on air. We'll try to get him in next week. Another supporter here at Punch the Face Radio. We appreciate that. So, like I said, I can't stress this enough, and I will reiterate this, and I'll be tweeting it again throughout the weekend leading up to the fight. Please, if you call yourself a boxing fan, order Ward Kovalev Part 2 on pay-per-view, okay? Or go somewhere and watch it where you have to pay to see it. Can't stress that part enough. Don't be a moocher. Go pay your money to watch it and see this, because this is real boxing. This is what boxing's about. It's not about this other stuff that's in the media here today. A fight like this on Saturday night is what boxing is about. It's about real fighters with real things at stake, putting it all on the line. You have 1 and 2 in regards to pound-for-pound rankings. Arguably. They're arguably 1 and 2. If not, they're in everybody's top 5. Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev. They're in everyone's top 5. They're easily number 1 and number 2 in regards to the 175-pound division. You have 2 of the best fighters there is fighting, and they're doing it a second time because the first one was so close. The first one was so controversial. They had to run it back. They had to. And what you're going to see Saturday night is 2 elite fighters doing what boxers do, really box, really fight, really put it on the line. So I want to, throw my support out there again to Kathy Duva and the people at Main Events. Shout out to them. Shout out to even Andre Ward, what he's doing with SOG Promotions, and to Rock Nation Sports. Obviously, shout out to Sergey Kovalev. for being the fighter that he is, and HBO Boxing as a whole for putting on this program. I'm shouting those people out because this is a real fight. And I want this sport to be built and supported on real fights. And I'm glad that this fight is this weekend. Unfortunately, it's going to get completely washed away in media because of something else that's been announced here in the world of boxing. But for all those who are listening, support real boxing, support real fighters. Order War Kovalev Part 2 on HBO pay-per-view. If you live in the area, go see it live there at Mandalay Bay Event Center. So that's me being on my soapbox. But trust me, and I reiterate this again to close the show, next week will be far worse in regards to me being on a soapbox. Me and Adam Abramowitz will have a lot to break down in regards to War Kovalev 2. And again, we're going to give, at least on my side, my one time airing out, speaking in regards to McGregor-Mayweather fight. That's going to be on next week's show, so I want everyone to listen to be a part of that because it's going to be flames, straight flames. Shout out to my guest tonight. Marlen Esparza freaking brought it, okay? If you're not familiar with Marlen Esparza, you are now. Again, follow her on Twitter, Marlen112 Esparza on Twitter. Her Instagram, and I can vouch for this in regards to her Instagram. It's legit. She does post a lot of training videos, so make sure you give her a follow on Instagram. And let me pull that back up to give you the proper Instagram for Marlen. She is on Instagram on Instagram at Marlen_Esparza. So that's MARLEN_ESPARZA. So support her. She is just amazing. Golden Boy's got something really special in their hands with her. So shout out to her for taking out the time, giving a lights-out interview here and being one of the faces of women's boxing and being just a good role model, a good ambassador for the sport in general, not just for women, but for the sport of boxing, period. So shout out to her. And best believe we got to get her back on once we get that fight booked here. And it's made official for Mexican Independence Day weekend for Canelo Triple G and her being on that card. So I appreciate everybody rocking with me here tonight. My voice going out at all earlier in the show, but it came back. Appreciate that. So love everybody, man, and hanging in here. Like I said, next week we'll have fun. We'll recap the fight. Never know who else may call in. Never know if we have a guest on the show. You just never know. So make sure you follow me on Twitter at BrandonP2TF. Make sure you follow my co-host, Adam Abramowitz at SN Boxing. And also make sure you follow, go to SaturdayNightBoxing.com to watch what Adam writes about and gives his observations in regards to the sport of boxing. And make sure you go to punchtheface.com as well. A lot of press releases and stuff there, news and notes in regards to the world of boxing and MMA. With that being stated, that's it for the show tonight. Good show. A lot of me talking early, so appreciate people actually listening to me talk. That's what I do. Till next week, man, I want everybody to stay safe, stay blessed, love one another because that's the only way we're going to get through this. And, yeah, man, next Wednesday, man, we're back here with another episode of Punch the Face Radio.